All right, I'll give you guys 3 seconds, inshallah. 3 seconds. Either we sit down or we leave the musalla. I see people are hugging there. Please, barakallahu fikum. If you haven't seen each other, see each other outside. Thank you. All right, thank you so much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inshallah, we'll begin the program. Today, I'll let Dr. Badeea Qureishi to introduce what she's going to talk about and about herself as well.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here on this Friday evening. Thank you for being here. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Today we're talking a bit about managing conflict, maintaining the ties of kinship. And I wanted to start by asking you guys why you are here today. Why do you want to sit and listen to this talk? Don't all leave now. Don't all be like, actually forget it, I'm going. Anybody want to tell me why you are here and what you're hoping to get from today's topic on managing conflict and maintaining the ties of kinship? You can scream, and I'll put your hand up and I can see you. Don't be shy now during this session. Go on. Somebody's here because they have difficult siblings and they are a difficult sibling. What else? What else? Why are you guys here? Who are you in a fight with right now? Nobody willing to make any more admissions at this point, but that's okay, we'll move along. Here are some of the goals I've listed out. We are here to talk a bit about conflicts in relationships, about how to set boundaries in our relationships, tears and repairs in relationships, which is a really important concept. Apology, how to apologize. Apology, this is a really big one. And the Islamic perspective on maintaining the ties of kinship. A little bit about me, in case you don't know. First of all, I am married to your head Imam, Adam Jamal. He's my husband, I'm his wife. That might be one of the things that you know about me. Aside from that, there are other things to know about me. My name is Badeea Qureishi. I'm a medical doctor. I graduated from the University of Liverpool in the UK. That's where I did my medical school, so I'm from the UK. I then completed my residency in psychiatry at the University of Washington. That was 4 long years of my life, lots of night shifts, lots of blood, sweat and tears, but I can say that I'm very well trained and I'm pretty good at what I do now, alhamdulillah. I now have opened my own private practice in psychiatry called Meaningful Psychiatry. You can Google that and find me quite easily. I am a mum of 3. I have 3 children, and I always include this in my professional talks because it is so important to the way that I practice psychiatry. I'm not a mother over there and a psychiatrist over there. I am all one thing, and it's pretty important perspective to have. And I am community facing. I like being with all of you. I like being part of my Muslim community. All right. What is a psychiatrist? I had to add this slide. And I promise I'll get to the managing conflict in a second, but I had to add this slide after being called a psychic, after being called a chiropractor, you guys. I am a psychiatrist. What is a psychiatrist? Come on, I want to hear from the crowd. Yes, what's a psychiatrist? A mind doctor, okay? A brain doctor, okay? A therapist who can write prescriptions, okay? Anything else? Do I have a crystal ball? Can I see your future? No, but almost. If you don't listen to me, I probably can tell what's going to happen next. Did you want to say something? A listening doctor, somebody who listens, is trained in the art of listening. Anything else? Any other ideas about what a psychiatrist actually is? Why did I work for 14 years to become one of these? Behavioral sciences? Yeah. I'll tell you guys now, I'll put you out of your misery. I went to medical school for 5 years. Medical school. 4 years of psychiatry residency. I am an MD. We are experts in mental health disorders. We are experts in medication management. We are experts in advanced psychotherapy. And we are very well equipped to navigate the mind and body interface. Okay? Nobody call me a psychic again. Okay? All right, moving along now. We're getting into ties of kinship and managing conflict. So I have some stats to start off with. In 2020, there was a study out of Cornell University, and it said that 27% of Americans report being estranged from a family member. Do we all know what estranged means? It means you have not communicated with a family member for an extended period of time. No communication for an extended period of time. Estranged. 27% of Americans are estranged from a family member. Parent-child estrangements is one of the most common forms of estrangement, with 10 to 15% of parents being estranged from at least one of their adult children. A study in the UK by Standalone Charity found that 80% of estranged relationships last more than 1 year. 1 year of not talking to somebody at all. 50% of these relationships last more than 5 years. And there is a percentage of these relationships that last forever until all parties die, literally. There has been an increase in the amount of estrangement in recent decades. There's multiple factors involved here, including more individualistic approaches to our relationships, changing cultural norms around what is expected from a family and from our relationships, higher expectations of emotional fulfillment in our relationships, and some of the big things that lead to estrangement include conflicting values and conflicting lifestyle choices, abuse or trauma in relationships, family breakups and divorce, and mental health issues leading to estrangement. So I wanted to tell you all that scary stuff because I want you to be a little bit scared, because today's topic really has to be approached with humility. You're not here today to collect ammunition and go home and be like, see, you are bad at managing conflict. No, today is about what you can do in your relationships. What is the role you play in your relationships? So think about those hard relationships, those challenging relationships, and think about your own role. Okay, we're not collecting any ammunition today, not from my talk, all right? And we're all Muslim here, alhamdulillah. So we're going to be very clear about our guiding principle as we move through this content. This is a hadith. لَيْسَ مِنَّا مَنْ لَمْ يُوَقِّرْ كَبِيرَنَا وَيَرْحَمْ صَغِيرَنَا. This is a hadith by our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And it says, he is not from us who does not respect our elders, nor is merciful to our youth. Our elders, they have some lived experience. They've lived this life. They have things to teach us. That is respect worthy. Our youth are growing and developing and learning. They make mistakes and they deserve our mercy. Respect and mercy, okay? And managing conflict, all right. So go on, you guys tell me, when you get into, a little argument, little tiff, little conflict, how do you manage it? What kind of things do you guys do to manage conflict? Shout out really loud, I can hear you. Silence. silence. You don't manage conflict at all. You completely avoid it. You stay zippity zip silent. Wow, does that work for you? Okay, you know what? In the case of that extreme anger, yeah, taking a breath, taking a step back, noticing, whoa, I'm really angry right now. Let's just cool off for a second. Very good. What else? How else do you guys manage conflict? Lots of communication. Okay, you know all the answers and the correct ones. No, I want to hear incorrect answers only. How are you guys managing your conflicts? When you get into a little fight, your husband or your wife annoys you, your child is driving you crazy, your mother is being needy, what do you guys do? Scream louder. It's just a match. Who can scream louder? Good. Okay, what else? Huh? Finding a common enemy. Okay, find somebody else to blame. Very, very good. I like that. I might try that. Anything else? Yes? Negotiate. You guys are good at this. I said wrong answers only. Very good. Okay, managing conflict. Pause. When emotions are running high, we take a breath. Seriously, just breathing. A big, deep breath to cool off a little bit. Labeling our own emotions. Usually in the case of a conflict, the first thing that comes up is anger. It's the first thing that bubbles up, anger. But what is that anger actually representing? What does that anger actually mean? Underneath it, are we actually hurt? Are we feeling abandoned? Are we feeling resentful? Are we feeling vulnerable? What's actually going on? And what is the thing that's making you angry and why? So labeling your own emotions is really important. And this is kind of annoying because I'm sure you've heard this all over social media, like label your emotions, name your emotions, social media speak, right? But it is important and there is value to it. Oh, you guys, this is the thing that you can all leave here with today. When you're in the middle of a fight, make I statements, not you statements. So I feel hurt. I feel abandoned. I feel like I'm not a priority. I feel like my needs are not being met. I statements. The minute you start saying you never do this, you always do that, you didn't do this, because of you I felt like that, those you statements immediately put the other party on the defensive. Once that party is on the defensive, you are no longer in communication. There's zero communication going to happen moving forward in that conflict because somebody is now on the defensive. You statements are absolute alarm bells and they put us on the defensive. Avoid them. This takes lots of practice, and I myself, I'm still not very good at this. But practice it. Practice I statements. Practice them in the mirror before you go in for your conflict, okay? I statements, not you statements, okay? Empathizing with the other person's feelings, even though you might be on separate pages, you can still kind of understand, see where somebody else is coming from. Like, okay, I get that this is upsetting, I get it, okay. I can see why you might be annoyed by this, I do get it. But, you know, my side of the story is this. But empathizing a little bit, moving toward that person, acknowledging their feelings as well. Maintaining the respect. Now, this is an Islamic principle. Maintaining the respect inside of your conflicts. When you are so hot, so angry, so frustrated, it's very hard to maintain respect. Saying hurtful words, name calling, I mean, these things are very hard to take back. All conflicts must maintain that respect. And remaining focused on the goal. Why are you guys even having this conversation? Why? Is it because you want to prove that you're right? Is it because you want to punish the other party? You want to stick it to them? You just want to get a bit of revenge? You know, why are you even having this conversation? The goal is the relationship. The goal is the preservation of the relationship. That requires a lot of humility from us. Like, I'm going in, even if I know I'm right, I'm going in because I want to protect this relationship, and that is top of mind. Not proving that you're right. All right, setting boundaries. Ugh. Ugh. Oh, yes, go on. Yes? Yeah? I hate you. It's how I feel. I hate you. Is that an I statement or a you statement, or is that not maintaining respect? I hate you. That's too sharp, and there needs to be some reasoning. Let's try talking about where the frustrations are coming from first, right? Okay, so you said to somebody, I feel hurt by this. And that other person feels like, oh, here they go again, playing the victim. Here they go again, whining and crying, I feel hurt, wah. Well, then clearly there's resentment in that relationship, you know, and you're not both on the same page. And maybe you haven't had kind conflict enough. Maybe you've not had kind communication enough. So that when someone is telling you, somebody you love is telling you, I'm hurt, you're not able to feel their pain. It just frustrates you more because you've already developed this distance in your relationship. It's a sad situation to be in. Hopefully we don't want to get there. Does that answer your question? Setting boundaries. All right, outside of social media speak, setting boundaries is important, even though I truly hate this word. And the reason I hate the word boundaries is because it's all over social media, and people on social media think they're so smart, and they're actually not. Because when they talk about boundaries, what they mean is cutting a relationship clean. They mean putting up a wall so high, turning into a gray rock, and cutting a relationship clean. That is not what boundary setting is. Boundaries are there to protect relationships. The whole point of a boundary is to protect that relationship by preserving the part of you that needs preserving. Let's move forward. Oh yeah, okay, I forgot I did this, but right, now I need audience participation. Get ready. I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to ask you what you would do in these situations. Your mother frequently makes critical comments about your personal life decisions. For example, your career and your relationships. How do you manage this? People around here don't manage things much, do they? How do you manage this? Don't tell me it's never happened to you. Your mom, she's nagging. She keeps saying, come on, what about this? What about this? Smile and nod. Smile and nod. Okay. How else? What else do we do when mama just keeps going and going and is grating on us? Oof, it's grating. Oh. Change the subject. Are you going to change the subject 100 times a day? Well, that takes a lot of brain power. What else? Naturally, you get a bit angry, you get a bit frustrated. Oh, here she goes again, telling me I'm doing this wrong, I'm doing that wrong, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. Okay, well, guess what? I have no solutions for you, I just have another scenario. Your teenage son wants to keep his room to himself and feels uncomfortable when you enter without knocking? What are you doing in this situation? Respect his space. The kid doesn't want you to come in without knocking. Is it so hard to just knock? Remove the door. Respect his space or remove the door. Okay. What if the guy needs to change? He's in his teens, for God's sake. What if he needs to change his clothes? What are you going to do? Use the restroom, but you have no bedroom door. Okay. Wow, you guys. See, this is very all or nothing, very black and white. There's a lot of space in between. What else? Talk about it. Who said that? Subhanallah. Talk about it. All right, what's making you uncomfortable? Or maybe he'll ask you, Mama, why do you have to come in my room without knocking? And then, so he's asking you for some explanations. And you're like, you know what, I feel like there's a distance growing between us. You're growing up so fast. I worry that you're on your phone. I worry that you're on social media. I worry that you're watching inappropriate things. I'm scared. I don't know. You're growing up. Go on. Knock and wait for the answer and then open the door. What if he says, no, get out, leave me alone, don't come in? Okay, so there's a conversation to be had, right? And all of these, of course, communication is key. We can have conversations about all of these things, even with the mother example. All right, last example here. A friend continuously tags you in posts or shares personal information about you online without your consent. What are you doing in this situation? Ask them to stop. Ask them to stop. I don't like it when you do that. Can you not post me online? You leave social media. So it doesn't matter what they're posting about you, you're just not seeing it. Blissful ignorance. Nice, nice. What else? It's a conversation, isn't it? I did this talk before at Samamish Mosque and someone was like, block them, delete them. It's a conversation, isn't it? All of these are conversations to be had. Something is making you uncomfortable. You feel like some part of your personal space is being violated. You have to have a conversation, right? Even with your mom asking you again and again about your personal life decisions. You know, Mama, what's all this about? I'm learning, I'm growing. I appreciate your concern. I love it, actually. Thank you so much for loving me so much and wanting the best for me. But this is kind of all the time. Can we talk about other things? Can we do something fun together outside of the same topic? You know? So there are ways to set boundaries that are soft and gentle, but also firm, you know, without completely cutting somebody off. And one of the ways to start that conversation and set that boundary is to get into the headspace of the other party. Like, what must they be feeling, and why is this an issue? Why does it keep coming up again and again? You know, it seems like, Mama, you're concerned about me. Or your friend, it seems like you love our friendship and you want to show it to the world and you want to post us on social media. I mean, that's kind of cute, but also, I don't like that. You know, so meet them where they're at, but then express your concerns to protect your own boundaries and not feel violated. Because if you're constantly feeling violated by somebody, it's hard to maintain that relationship. And resentment grows. So the goal of setting boundaries is self-preservation whilst also maintaining the relationship. Boundaries are not designed to be punishment. You know, now that's it, I'm not talking to you now. Or that's it, I'm blocking you now because you deserve it. I'm punishing you. No, it's not about punishment. It's about protecting the relationship and protecting your need, you know, for self-preservation. Not all or nothing. Any questions about boundaries? No questions. I'm moving on then. But I'm very happy when people interrupt me, by the way. Right, tears and repairs in relationships. Go on. Oh, what if somebody doesn't respect your boundaries? What if they keep violating your boundaries? I guess another conversation, you know. But, you know, sometimes when you do set boundaries, it doesn't feel comfortable. And the other person might be a bit like, oh my God, why is she doing this, you know? Am I like a bad friend? Does she not like me anymore? Is she going to abandon me completely? People think in worst case scenarios, you know? So like, no, it's not really like that. It's just honestly, like when you post me on social media, it just makes me feel a type of way. I'm a bit more of a private person. It's really, I mean, I want to maintain this friendship. You know, reassure people as well a little bit, because they are thinking in worst case scenarios as well. And you can try conversations a few times, and if it keeps going and going and going, then you maybe need to like redefine your boundaries or whatever, you know. Hopefully it doesn't though, that's the whole point, you know, because you've entered into kind communication. Do you see what I mean? Tears and repairs. Tears and repairs. All right, this is a really, really solid concept in the world of psychology. Go on. You guys, what on earth? This is supposed to be an hour-long conversation. How do we establish boundaries while being kind and polite? Do you think the only way to establish boundaries is by screaming them in a fit of rage? By using a few curse words? Is that the way? But you feel like doing that sometimes, right? Right? But you know, boundaries are really about self-respect. And knowing that, you know, I can give this much, and I love to give in my relationships, but this really is my limit. I truly cannot do anymore. I need to, you know, have a little bit of self-preservation to keep me full as well, you know? So if you can do that in a kind way, knowing that you and your own body has rights over you, your own mind has rights over you. Do you see what I mean? It's not always about maintaining the rights of everybody else. That's important, but not at the expense of your own rights. So, you know, your own body has rights over you. These are Islamic concepts as well. You're not being mean when you're setting a boundary. You're maintaining the relationship. It's an act of love. If you can redefine it like that, reframe it like that for yourself. That was a good answer? Alhamdulillah. Tears and repairs. Now this, you know, there's lots of research on tears and repairs in the world of psychology. This is when boundary setting goes well. Yes, and communication goes well. I forgot what I've written on these slides. Okay, so there's been a grievance. And, you know, somebody's feeling violated. You get together, you have a conversation. And actually, the party with the grievance feels heard and listened to and valued and respected. And the party who may have violated the boundary recognizes that. Both parties prioritize the relationship itself rather than who's right, who's wrong. Maybe somebody issues an apology in this conversation. Subhanallah. An actual apology. Allah. Do any of you know what that is? But I am getting to the next slide and I will ask that question. So actually what happens with a tear and repair is you've had a boundary crossed. A violation has happened. And there's been a bit of a conflict brewing. You've sat together. You've communicated with each other. Both parties leave feeling heard and valued. And actually, there's an increase in trust, an increase of understanding and love and respect. Like, wow, we really are on the same page. And that tear and repair strengthens relationships. That's actually a really beautiful part of our relationships. So when we can lean into these confrontations and be kind in our conflicts and confrontations, we might actually have a tear and repair, which is going to strengthen our relationship. So we don't need to spend 15 years in absolute silence, brewing, holding it all in, doing your best not to explode for 15 years, 20 years. You see what I mean? We can actually just air our grievances little by little as we go. And these small grievances can be repaired. We don't wait for it to turn into a giant issue, a giant explosion, where we go into banshee mode and start screaming and crying, and 15 years of pent-up frustration comes out in one instant. So tears and repairs are very, very healthy, and they work very well when there's small little things along the way. Okay? Here's an example of a tear and repair, just to really bring this concept home. Okay, this is the tear. So a father, Mahmoud, snaps at his teenage daughter, Maryam, during an argument over her curfew, saying something hurtful. You never follow the rules, and I'm tired of it. So she stayed out past her curfew, and he is upset. This is the repair part. So that was the tear. Now we're on the repair part. After cooling down, Mahmoud reflects on his outburst and goes to Miriam's room to apologize. I'm sorry for raising my voice earlier. I didn't handle that well. Let's talk about why you came home late and how we can agree on a better way to communicate. So now he's saying what I'm actually annoyed about is the fact that you came home so late. So let's focus on what I'm really annoyed about. It's that. And I did get a bit wild and a bit loud and a bit scary back then. Sorry about that. The result, Miriam also shares her perspective. She gets a chance to share what happened on her side. It's not just an immediate, accusation. And she says, I didn't mean to upset you, but I was with friends and I lost track of time. And kids do this, by the way. Teenagers do this. They're impulsive. Their frontal lobes are not fully developed. They do lose track of time. Quite genuinely, it happens. So together, they come together, they create a more flexible curfew plan, and the repair allows both father and daughter to feel understood and respected. Like, okay, it's really not that deep, But maybe the dad, Mahmoud, he had work in the morning, and he was waiting for her until midnight, but he had to go to bed. He's got to be up at 7 a.m. So this, he's waiting around for her to come home. She's coming home late. So yeah, there's this burst of anger. But there's a chance to cool down. There's a chance to be like, no, but that's inappropriate. But let's just talk about it and be a bit more clear about what curfews are and why they're important. Right? That's the tear and repair. The relationship wasn't severed. She wasn't like, that's it, I'm never talking to you again. He's not so upset, like, that's it, you're never going out again. There's a way to manage. There's plenty of room in between these black and white spaces. Okay, apology. What is an apology? You guys tell me. What are components of an apology? What does a good apology sound like and feel like? Go on. To acknowledge the thing that's happened, acknowledge what went wrong, acknowledge what you did wrong. What else? What are good components of an apology? Have you been apologized to and you were like, what? That was a fake apology. That wasn't even real. That person didn't even mean it. Sincerity. Actual remorse, feeling like, oh, I did do something bad and I do actually feel bad about it. Sincerity. What else? Components of an apology. Don't do it again. That commitment to actually changing behavior and not doing the same thing again and again. Absolutely. You can what? Regret, feeling regretful. Sorry, yeah, feeling regretful, remorseful. What else? Wow. I apologize because I care. And I care about this relationship. And I will have the humility and the courage to apologize because I care about this relationship. That's more important to me than being right. Okay, so acknowledgement of the offense. I realize that I hurt you when I spoke to you harshly during our conversation yesterday. Expression of remorse and regret. Like, no, really, I do feel bad about it. I really do. I'm not just saying the words. Taking responsibility. It was wrong of me to raise my voice. I take full responsibility. This is just an example. There's many, many scenarios in which you may need to apologize in. Offering an explanation, not a justification, but an explanation. I was feeling really stressed, but I understand that this does not excuse the way that I spoke to you. I was hurtful. I mean, you still feel bad. It's a genuine apology. You're a human being as well, though, and you can say, you know, I was going through something as well. Like, I really wish I didn't. I really wish it was different. And I am really sorry. But that day was hard for me too. Whatever, you know, it's okay. You're a human as well. And a commitment to change, to actually changing that problematic behavior. So if apologies are so good, so nice, they keep relationships together, they make people feel heard. An apology is a big part of a tear and a repair in a relationship. Apologies strengthen relationships. So if they're so good and they keep families together, what gets in the way? What? Pride, ego, what else? What gets in the way? Shaitan. A one-sided apology only. We need more than one side. Both parties have to want to make that effort. What gets in the way of our apologies? Why is it so hard? Sometimes you don't even know that you did something wrong. All right, might be a genuine miscommunication. You might really not know. Is there a way to empathize, though? And be like, you know what? Ooh, that person does look really hurt. Something must have happened here. Maybe I'm not following fully, but something is happening and maybe I did do something. What's so hard about apology, you guys? What's so hard about apologizing? Go on. Huh? If you have a grudge, like who has a grudge? The person apologizing? Like they actually have a grudge. They're actually a bit resentful. They think you deserve whatever happened to you. They don't think they did anything wrong. Okay. What gets in the way of apology? Wow. Our parents never apologized to us. We've never seen what an apology looks like. An apology has never been modeled in our lifetimes. We have no idea how to approach even the beginnings of an apology. We have no idea. What else? What gets in the way of apology? And I'm going to talk about this a lot because this is the point. This is the whole point of managing conflict. What? Lack of accountability, not holding yourself to account. Anger, being too angry to apologize. Say it louder. Oof. Perception of power dynamics. If I apologize to you, have I given you my power? Have I given you my power? Has our relationship flipped? Are you now more superior to me? Has the social hierarchy flipped because I apologized? This might happen between parents and children, or bosses and employees, or, husband and wife. We don't want to give away our power. We think there's a lot of power in the apology. And if we give it, we've given our power away. If we give it, we've actually reclaimed our power in a new and more profound way than before. But this is the thing we can't seem to understand. So yeah, what gets in the way of apology? Lack of understanding. Maybe, go on. What's very difficult? Why? That's the because all of the above. Because you don't accept your own mistake. You can't accept what you've done wrong. You don't want to admit that you've done something wrong. You don't want to believe that you've done something wrong. The thought of doing something wrong actually makes you feel kind of icky about yourself. It's not pleasant. It's not pleasant to admit that you made a mistake. But are you a human being with free will, or are you an angel without free will? Just remember who you are. You can make mistakes. You really can. And you do. Right, what gets in the way of an apology? There's a lack of understanding. You really didn't know that you did something wrong. Maybe there's a cultural difference. Maybe in somebody's culture they do things one way. Your culture, you do things a different way. You really didn't know. Genuine misunderstanding. What about fear of consequences? Like, okay, I've apologized. Now what's going to happen? Am I going to get into trouble? Is this going to just be worse? Have I admitted that I really have made a big mistake? What are the consequences? Perceived power imbalances. I'm giving away my power if I apologize. Cultural norms. Pakistani culture. And many other cultures. All the rest of you as well. Cultural norms. We don't apologize. We've never seen an apology. Parents apologizing to children. Never. Never. Narcissism. This is a whole other issue, but it's really about feeling insecure yourself, that you feel slighted very easily and really can't imagine that you've done something wrong, even though you have. Anyway, that's a whole other topic. Defensiveness. Well, guess what? You hurt my feelings as well. I may have done something wrong to you, but you're not innocent. You did something wrong to me as well. Defensiveness can get in the way because we can't have the humility to apologize. Shame and guilt. You feel so ashamed that you really did do something wrong, and you don't want to open this Pandora's box. You really don't want to get into it because you already feel so horrendous about it. And then not knowing how to apologize. We've never seen it. All right, the Islamic perspective. Sila ar-Rahim, Silatul Rahim. This is Islam, you guys. Silatul Rahim. Raise your hands if you've heard that term before. Silatul Rahim. The rest of you have not. Allah, come to the masjid more. Silatul Rahim. This is the Islamic perspective on ties of kinship and the importance of maintaining our ties of kinship. Because we do not want to be among the statistics of estranged family relationships. And by the way, Muslims do have a lot of family values. We are less individualistic. We have more community values, but we are not immune from estrangement. We make up those statistics. In my own family and extended family, I can probably name 3 estrangements. And that's not because my family is worse than your family. That's just because I've named them and I can see it. Estrangement is real and it exists inside of our own communities. So, Silatul Rahim, the Islamic perspective. This is from the Quran, chapter 4, ayah 1. And be mindful of Allah and the wombs. Wombs meaning the ties of kinship, the relationships you have through the wombs. Indeed, Allah is ever an observer over you. Do we literally forget that Allah is all-knowing and all-seeing? Allah actually, so when we've made a mistake and we refuse to apologize, we cannot bring ourselves to apologize. We can't bring ourselves to acknowledge that mistake. Who are we kidding? Who are we kidding? Who are we fooling? Do we believe that Allah is all-knowing and all-seeing, or do we not believe that? I don't know. What do our actions show? Do we believe that or not? Whoever would like his provision to be increased and his lifespan extended, let him maintain the ties of kinship. That is a hadith from Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, so that's a solid hadith. And there is research out there that says that people who are married are more likely to live longer. People who are in healthy relationships are likely to sleep better at night. There's loads of things about being in healthy relationships, and our own Islam has told us, maintain your ties of kinship, because it literally increases your lifespan. That is crazy. This is an ayah from the Quran. And we have enjoined upon man care for his parents. His mother carried him, increasing her in weakness upon weakness. And if any of you have ever had a pregnancy, 9 months long, weakness after weakness, God, it just goes on, doesn't it? And then weaning, breastfeeding for 2 years. Your mother really does a lot, you guys. Be grateful to me, as in Allah, and to your parents. To Allah is the final destination. I wanted to make this point about parents. I know all parents make this point about themselves all the time. But you know, there is a lot of value in motherhood. Islam puts that really at a very high pedestal. The care and the respect for mothers. It doesn't really matter who your mother is. Your job is to be respectful, you know. And that's important. But if you pardon, overlook, and forgive, then indeed Allah is forgiving and merciful. Imagine if somebody literally comes to you and apologizes for something, and then you reject their apology. Would you do such a thing? Raise your hands if you've ever rejected an apology. Astaghfirullah. That's bravery right there. Raise your hands if you have ever apologized. Oh, really? Oh, really? Half of you put your hands back down. It's a lie. Raise your hands if you've received an apology that felt like a real apology. Raise your hands if you received an apology, but it felt kind of not fully genuine, not all the way there. Okay. So forgiveness. Forgiveness is important. If somebody's come to you and they're apologizing, even if it feels like a fake apology, you can't identify people's intentions. If they're coming to you and apologizing, it's kind of a big thing. And forgiveness is your duty in that moment. You know, continuing a grudge after someone's apologizing, whether it's genuine or not, is really kind of unacceptable by our Islamic standards. So swallow some of your own pride now, because you also need forgiveness. Think about yourself a little bit. And that forgiveness is really important. And I've got to say, I've had now a bunch of patients, many patients actually, and in cases when their parents specifically have apologized to them, they remember it. They remember it like forever, because it's such a big deal, and there's so many heightened emotions in those moments that they're hard to forget. So apologies can be really impactful and really have long-lasting impacts. Now, I'm a psychiatrist. I'm not an expert on parenting. I do have 3 kids, and I'm doing an amazing job. But what I can say is when people ask me specifically about parenting, you know, they want to be perfect. They want to do the best for their kids. They want to put them in soccer and karate and Quran and thousands of classes and have this best perfect kid and be the best perfect parent. But what I can say is, no, drop that. You don't need to be perfect. If you can make a mistake, acknowledge the mistake, hold yourself accountable for that mistake, and apologize publicly and genuinely and sincerely for that mistake, you have modeled apology for your own children. That is my parenting advice. So maybe you can call me a parenting expert, actually. But that is the thing. If you can model apology with your own humility, Be in your own life humble, courageous. Offer that apology because you know you did something wrong. You can feel it. You can feel it. It doesn't feel good. Model it to your children. I yelled at you. I screamed really loud. That must have been scary. Or I have put you in loads of classes. Loads. I've overscheduled you. I'm so sorry. Or I do push you a lot to be perfect in your education because it makes me look good. You know? And I do want you to, marry so-and-so because it's just who I am. Can you muster the strength to model apology in your own relationships, in your own life? And even when somebody else has wronged you, and you go and have that communication with that person, and you show up and actually apologize genuinely for something, you have modeled to that person what apology looks like, even though you're the one who deserves the apology. But you've modeled, this is what an apology looks like. Not because you want to hear it back, but because this is who you are. You're a Muslim. You know that God is watching. You know God already knows. He already knows. Who the hell are you kidding? Apologize, you guys. Apologize. This is our Islamic principle. Apology is the embodiment of your deen. If somebody can apologize, it is such high-level work. It is the embodiment of Islam. It is that serious because it does so much good and it protects our relationships. It protects our communities. It protects our society. You cannot learn to apologize. That's on you, you guys. You're standing in front of Allah by yourselves, not me. I'm going there as well. But the it's really apology, you guys. If you leave with anything today, it's apology. Worst case scenario from our own faith. This is the worst case scenario. Ibrahim, peace be upon him. Ibrahim, the father of the Abrahamic faiths, the father of Judaism, the father of Christianity, and the father of Islam, Ibrahim. He was a young kid, and he really did not ever like the way that his whole community worshipped idols. They worshipped stone, and it never felt right to him, and he was always questioning, why on earth are my parents and my people worshipping these stones? One day, the whole village, the whole town is out at some big event. Ibrahim goes and smashes all the idols in the temple except the largest idol. When the townspeople get back, they look at the state of the temple. They're like, who on earth has done this? They are furious, and they know, bring Ibrahim. He is the only one who could have done this. Ibrahim comes and he says, well, I don't know what happened. Why don't you ask the largest idol, the only one left standing? Ask the largest idol who smashed all the other idols. And they said, are you ridiculous, Ibrahim? How dare you? This idol won't be able to tell us anything. Ibrahim said, exactly my point. This idol cannot tell you anything. This idol can't even tell you who smashed all the other idols. And yet you pray to this idol. You worship this idol. And they said, that's it. Enough. Enough of you, Ibrahim. We have dealt with your BS. All our lives, you hate our idols. That's it. The only thing we can do now is burn you at the stake. They built a blazing fire. And they threw Ibrahim into that fire. Blazing. The heat was so hot that they couldn't even stand close to this fire. And Ibrahim was inside of this blazing fire. By the way, his father was on board with this plan. His father was on board with the plan of his son being burnt in this fire because he knew his son smashed the idols, he knew it. And he was accepting of that for his own son. And in fact, prior to this, he even threatened himself, Ibrahim, I will stone you. I will stone you if you carry on disrespecting my idols. So his own father, I mean, it doesn't get more toxic than that. Your own father being okay with you being burnt alive in a blazing fire because you smashed some rocks. It doesn't get more toxic than that as a relationship, right? What happens in that fire? Does it kill Ibrahim? No, it doesn't. Ibrahim, that fire dies down, and Ibrahim is untouched. Allah commands the fire to be cool for Ibrahim. He is untouched. This, just imagine seeing that. Just imagine witnessing that. The townspeople don't know what to do. They say, okay, so Ibrahim clearly cannot be killed. We tried our best. With the hottest fire we tried, we're going to have to banish him. That's the only thing we can do now. So they banish him from the land. They say, that's it, you get out of here, leave, go far away, don't ever come back. And Ibrahim has to say farewell to his own father. And this is recorded in the Quran, our holy book. Ibrahim says, this is Ibrahim's farewell to his father. He says, peace be upon you. I will ask forgiveness for you of my Lord. Indeed, he is ever gracious to me. So even in the height of that painful moment, having to part with his father, having to leave all his people behind and go somewhere, anywhere, nowhere, it's terrifying. It was painful. And even in that pain, knowing his father was okay with him being burnt alive, he still leaves a crack open in the doorway. He still says, peace be upon you. I'm still praying for you. In case there's any change of heart, who knows what the future holds? Ibrahim, after all of that, leaves a crack open in the doorway. He's not vengeful. He's not vindictive. He's not like, well, you were okay with burning me alive. Bye. Ha ha ha, I'm still alive. No. In the pain of that moment, his farewell is recorded for eternity in our Quran. Because this is the importance of maintaining the ties of kinship. That's the end of my talk. That's it. You can go now. No, I'm joking. Wait. This is where to find me. You can scan this QR code. I have an Instagram page. I post lots of things about psychiatry, mental health, when to go to the emergency room, what to do when somebody's telling you you need psych meds and you don't want to take psych meds because you're terrified of psych meds, what to do when somebody's giving you a psychiatry diagnosis and you don't want to be labeled, what to do when you think that these meds, you're going to be on them forever and they're going to turn you into a zombie. I have lots of videos. Follow me. And I'm easy to find because I'm all over the internet. And my name is Badeea Qureishi. If you need help, there's plenty of ways to find me. There's also, I made these flyers. Look how cute they are. Please collect a flyer. You never know when you need me. And trust me, people, the most unassuming people who thought they would never, ever, ever need a psychiatrist have already given me a phone call. So I am everywhere, and inshallah, I'm here to help. Q&A. Any big questions? I know I left you guys on a pretty heavy story, but I hope that I brought home today the importance of conflict resolution, the importance of apology, tears and repairs, kind communication, and preserving our relationships. Any questions? Yes? So what do you do if you want to have that tear and repair, have that conflict resolution, and you're trying to meet somebody, but they are not receptive to your bids for connection and your bids for repair. They are not receptive. I mean, in that case, it's really hard for a relationship to work when both parties are not equally, engaged in that relationship or equally as invested in that relationship. Relationships, it does really take two to tango. But if you can model an apology, even if you don't feel you need to give one, if you can model to somebody that this is a safe space, I can apologize, we can all make mistakes, I am here and ready to forgive you, this relationship is important to me, and you can, create that culture, then people will be more willing to be receptive to you. There are some situations where really, you are up against a brick wall, and in those cases, you really can just do your best, But that's a really sad situation to be in. It's really, really sad. Those relationships often don't survive. It's very sad. What else? Okay, so you've set a little minor boundary, and they've said, you know what, forget it, I'm not talking to you. Here's my boundary. My boundary's higher than yours. My boundary's stronger than yours. You're going to play boundary wars? I'm going to set a boundary on you. That's not kind communication, is it? That's vindictive. It's vengeful. There's other things going on. Somebody wants to stick it to somebody else. Somebody's annoyed. They want to just stick it to you, That's not coming from a place of, maintain your goals. At least in your mind, you know what your goals are. And you can verbalize those goals. The reason I'm setting this boundary is because I care so much about this relationship. I want to continue. I want to pursue. You're so important to me. You mean so much to me. When you say things like that, it disarms people. Do you understand? It disarms them. So they're no longer in fight mode. They're like, whoa. It changes the tone of the conversation when you describe to them how important they are to you. Do your best, you guys. What else? Any more questions or comments? Anything from the boys' side? Or you guys have fully understood? Go on. So he asked the question, what happens if you're from different cultures and, a boundary for someone else is just absolutely bizarre for somebody else. So the example of kids wanting to close their bedroom doors and you're like, what the heck is this? I never did this growing up, right? I mean, you've got to realize that there are cultural differences between you and your children. You might have come from abroad, they've grown up here. Or you are a millennial and they are Gen Alpha. There are cultural differences. They're not the same. They're not growing up in the same way you grew up, So coming to a decision, having a bit of cognitive flexibility. When you feel strongly about something and then your kid starts feeling very strongly about something as well, and you dig your heels in further and further, and you just, both parties get more and more hardened, more and more polarized. That's not what you want. You do not want to be in a standoff. You do not want to be in a checkmate position where now the next move will be checkmate and somebody will live and somebody will die. Okay? It's not worth it. Humility. Okay, where can I meet my kid? My kid wants to close the door. Is this the end of the world for me? What am I really worried about them closing the door? Do I feel like they're shutting me out? Do I worry that they're on their iPad? What is the actual worry about this door? Because it's not just the door, is it? So understand where your concerns are coming from, verbalize those concerns, and know that there are cultural differences. Even if you're, all American, I come from the UK, I have giant cultural differences with my kids. And I'm a millennial, and they're Gen Alpha, like it's so different. I remember a time without technology, and they have no idea what that means. So there's going to be cultural differences, but have the cognitive flexibility to maneuver. Always give yourself room to maneuver and never get into a standoff. They never work well. Any more questions or comments? No? Everyone's exhausted? Okay, go home. Thank you so much. But come see me in the end if you want a flyer. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. Jazakallahu khairan.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you all for coming and for participating. So great, alhamdulillah, to see that. And I just wanted to thank Dr. Badeea for preparing for weeks and weeks. She was stressing and nervous, and alhamdulillah, it's been good. All of these things were very useful the past few weeks while we were preparing this presentation. So I just wanted to add also that we are starting a program. To be honest, we already have this program called Fajr Club. We have one for the elders, but now we would like to open this up and make it more welcoming for young people, especially under 18, and also for women. So this is something we really want to do, inshallah. So we're going to be starting Fajr Club, and essentially as a part of this, inshallah, the first one will be officially next Sunday, not this coming Sunday, but the next Sunday. Of course, you can come to Fajr at any time, but inshallah, we'll have a khatira, we'll have breakfast, and we're going to expect more people. One other thing we're going to be doing is every kid that comes under 18, so if you're over 18, you don't get this, but at least for the under 18s, inshallah, you'll get a ticket every time you come. And at the end, we'll have a drawing, and we'll have prizes, and we'll have a celebration of all those that came to Fajr in the winter, inshallah. So once again, barakallahu feekum. Also, one more thing is that inshallah, Dr. Badeea and I will be doing a program on modesty and puberty on Sunday at 10:15 a.m. So if you have children, or you don't have children yet, but you'd like to know how to talk about this with nieces, nephews, cousins, it's for parents and children, and those who deal with children as well. So it's open to the whole community, inshallah, and you can come, inshallah, 10:15 on Sunday. And we'll divide it into groups. So the first group will be the young ages, and then the middle ages, and then the older ages. So everyone will get what they need based on their age, inshallah. So once again, thank you so much to our presenter today, our guest speaker, and we'll see you all later, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Guys, the QR code may not be working for some of you. Just Google meaningful psychiatry. I'm even on TikTok. Meaningful psychiatry. Meaningful psychiatry. Thank you all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.